the voice of Heidie Calero with another interesting economic capsule on the Puerto Rico economy, as well as on economic events that occur in this island. Don't forget, those of you who like our capsules, to follow us in YouTube under the voice of Heidie Calero and give us a like. Today we are going to talk about an interesting subject. I think I've mentioned before in other economic capsules that the heart of any economy and economic growth is investment. And investment can be dissected into or disaggregated into different components, such as, well, construction of infrastructure, construction of housing, investment in machinery and equipment. But infrastructure is not only schools, hospitals, bridges, roads, electrical utilities, and the works. It's also human infrastructure, and that basis is key in terms of education, public education, and that's the topic I want to address today. Let's look at what I have been calling the educational scandal in Puerto Rico. Notice here in this graph, from 2015 through 2019, all these bars are Title I federal funds that the Puerto Rico Educational Department receives here, and that it addresses all students in Puerto Rico, including those who have special needs in terms of education. Well, over these past 5 years, Puerto Rico has received, through 2019, has received almost $2 billion. You would think that with $2 billion over this 5-year span, we should have excellent educational attainment, because part of what Title I requires is, let's have some metrics to see if you are achieving, if the students are achieving educational attainment, because after all, this is a good chunk of money that is being directed to the education, public education in Puerto Rico, and that's from first grade or kindergarten through high school. Well, let's look at some of these metrics using META, which is the educational standard proof that has been changing over time, but I'm going to present only the statistics, the latest statistics of 2019. I don't even want to consider 2020 because they have not been administered because of this COVID-19 pandemic, and I feel those results with this remote learning, which has been very, very difficult for many of these students in public education. So let's look at the 4 areas that META covers, which is Spanish, math, English, and science. Basics. Well, here we have the different regions in Puerto Rico, which is from Arecibo all the way through San Juan. The numbers in these columns indicate the percentage in those regions of those students who were proficient in Spanish. Proficient means that they had the skills, or they exceeded in those skills. Anything below those percentages, they did not fulfill those requirements. So island-wide, only 45% of those students who took the META standards were proficient in Spanish. What does that mean? That 55% failed to achieve those proficiencies. And notice the goal. The goal was pretty low. It was 61%, which is this dotted blue line. So a goal which is not terribly high, and only island-wide 45% of those students in Spanish were proficient. Let's look at math. Look at this. Island-wide, 30% were proficient in math. That means that 70% were not proficient in math. Something that is important, especially for STEM, in order to compete in a global labor market. Well, and look, notice the goal. The goal was not even 50% of those students. It was only 49%, and only 30% island-wide. Let's look at English. Important. Island-wide, only 39%. Lower even than Spanish, which was 45%. 39%, which means that 61% of those students did not achieve proficiency in English. And the goal again was not terribly high, only 56%. So we didn't even achieve, for a goal that should have been higher. If you do not step into higher standards, you will never achieve them. Well, look at science, 47%, 53% were not proficient in science, and the goal was not terribly high either, only 50%. So close to that goal, but still below 50%. And if we look at by grade, look, the students of 3rd grade got better results in proficiency. And once they passed 3rd grade to 4th grade, 5th grade, and on, the proficiency, the results go below. If we were to compare these proficiencies with the percentage that had percentages of grades of A and B, there's a big distance from 63% to proficiencies of 45% in Spanish. In mathematics, 59% got A and B, and only 30% were proficient in math. In English, 39% were proficient in English, but 62%, 2 out of every 3 got A and B. And science, 47% were proficient, and 66%, almost 70% got A and B. Isn't there something of an irreconcilable conflict? Is it the grading system that isn't correct? Is it that all the students in Puerto Rico have deficiencies in education and learning disabilities? Or is it that the worst, the attainment, the educational attainment and the results in these metrics which measure the educational attainment, then that's the justification to receive more federal funds? Honestly, this is an educational scandal. All the population in Puerto Rico really has to be convinced that education is at the heart of any economic strategy in the island if we are going to compete in this global market. Whether you have children or you don't have children, look, the labor force is going to be the one that pays your social security, so it is in your interest really to raise your voice and say, listen, we need a better public education. And we did it before. Back in the 1960s, we had less resources and public education was much better. Why is it that now we have more money and it is not really achieving the results? Until the next capsule, stay safe.